Hey, folks, glad you could be here. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito, and what we're going to talk about today is one of my favorite shows all year, the Food Romance Connection. We'll keep it clean because there's kids listening probably. And we're going to talk about how food affects your love life. And it's actually a fun show because even before I went on the air, one of my colleagues I work with here, we were chatting a little bit. And she said, I told her my topic tonight, and she goes, really? So tell me a little more about that. So everybody seems to have an interest in this topic, and no one knows who to ask because I don't know if there's that many experts in the world on how food affects your love life. And this is what you eat and what you shouldn't eat. Okay, we're not talking about any other use for the food except what you eat and what you shouldn't eat. And I want you to think about this. Now, if you have kids listening, this might not be the show you want them to listen to. 51 weeks a year is perfectly fine if you want to have them listen, but I'm not sure about today. Might be a little risque here. I'll try to keep it clean. But it's sometimes we may get into areas where the kids might say, but Daddy, what does Dr. Joe mean by that? And then you don't have to answer if you don't want to. So I'm going to help you out there. So let's talk about the ultimate romantic dinner, okay? You're going to take your best gal or boy, whatever it is, and you're going to take them out for a romantic dinner. Now, what would you consider a romantic dinner? Let's put together the stereotypical romantic dinner, okay? We're going to have candlelight, and we're going to have steak and lobster. We're going to have bread and butter. We're going to have cheesecake for dessert. We're going to have coffee and artificial sweetener. And I don't know, maybe you like to smoke afterwards. I don't know if anybody still smokes. I saw somebody smoking today, actually. I hadn't seen somebody smoke in years. And I thought, what an odd thing to do. Last night I saw it, actually. And, of course, you have to have wine, right? Wine is very romantic, yes. So let's break down what is in that meal and why just about every aspect of that meal is going to take the wind out of your sails. How about that? Having a tough time here, Ahmad. This is going to be a long one. So we're going to talk about what you're eating and how it affects your body. Now, if you're first tuning in, you've never listened to the show before. My background is I'm board certified in chiropractic. I'm board certified in orthopedics. I'm board certified in pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. My new book came out a couple weeks ago. If you don't have it, you need to have it. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. And the reviews so far have just been overwhelming. I mean, a fraction of the reviews that I've been getting I would have been thrilled with. The reviews are just overwhelming. And a great book. It really is a breakdown. It's a manual on how to live your life. And I've been in practice for over 32 years now. And so I got a lot of experience. And this background that I have lets me give you this information on healthcare that really, really works. And I want to start by saying that if you're having trouble in the romantic department, that could be a very serious sign, a very serious symptom. Because if you're not functioning or able to function or able to enjoy, there could be something else going on. So, for example, if you can't function, especially men, but women have the same thing. We have to have good blood supply. It could be a sign of a cardiovascular issue. You could have hardening of the arteries because the blood vessels that go into your erogenous zones are very small, the major erogenous zones, and they're very small and thin. So if you have a little bit of plaque built up on those arteries, you're not going to get good blood supply to where it's supposed to go, and you're not going to work right. Now, the other thing that can happen is you can have a pinched nerve. Because the way the body works is your brain sends messages down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body. And the nerves and the blood vessels, as they exit the spine, they exit the spinal column, the bones, and they exit to go out into the body, the blood vessels and the nerves wrap around each other. And when they wrap around each other, if you pinch a nerve, you're also pinching a blood vessel. So if you pinch a nerve, whatever on the other end of the nerve can't work. So you might have back pain, for example, but that nerve also controls your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So now we've got a problem. Pinched nerve in the low back can cause things like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, sexual problems, prostate issues, ovarian issues. And so a lot of times patients come into our offices and they'll say, well, Dr. Joe, I got back pain. And when I explain that to them, they say, it's funny, they lay on the table, I'm checking them out, and they always do the same thing. They look up at me and they say, how did you know that? How did you know I have digestive problems or gas or bloating or romantic issues? Because it's the nerve that controls the organs. It just makes sense. So we like to check the nerves when it comes to any malfunctioning organ, including the sex organs, to make sure they're not involved. If they are, you have to get those bones put back in place and take the pressure off the nerves. So we're going to talk a lot chemically today, but I wanted to cover physically what can be affecting the nerve and the blood supply to the organs. So back to our romantic dinner. Not so romantic as it turns out. All right, let's assume we have a steak. Steak's heavy protein. Large consumer of energy. Number one consumer of energy we have as humans, romance. What we're talking about today. The number two consumer of energy, digestion. And the hardest thing to digest are animal proteins. So if you're eating animal proteins, you're putting a major stress on your digestive system and zapping your body of a lot of energy. Now, the big question people say to me, because I don't eat any animal products, people say to me all the time is, well, Dr. Joe, where do you get your protein? And I appreciate people being concerned about my health. Where do I get my protein? Where do I get my calcium? But fear not, lads and lassies, because you only need about 10% maximum of your total caloric intake as protein. A steak is about 17% or higher. So I'm putting way more protein into my body than I need if I'm eating animal proteins, and that protein has to be broken down. And it's broken down in my liver and my kidneys, and now I have liver and kidney problems. Folks, going to have to go to a break. Big show today, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to open up the phone lines if you have questions, anything about health. The number is 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-DRJOE. My website, if you want to get my book, send me questions through the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Folks, got to go to break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. We are talking today about the food romance connection, how what you eat has an effect, good or bad, on your romantic life. So, we talked about a typical romantic dinner, steak and lobster and cheesecake, and we're going to kind of rip through that real quick. Got a lot of callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe, and I'm going to get you callers, so hang on there. So if we're going to eat meat, probably not a good choice because it's very heavy and hard to digest. And also, a lot of the commercial meat you eat has been exposed to things like any or all of the following: steroids, hormones, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified foods. And these things, many of them can be what's called an endocrine disruptor. What the heck is that? Your hormones control everything, and you only need a little tiny bit of hormone to make things happen. And so testosterone traditionally is the male hormone. It's the muscle-building hormone. It's also the sex drive hormone. Estrogen is its antithesis. It's the opposite of that. And so if you have too much estrogen in your body, your body isn't going to work as well in the romantic department if you're out of balance. And so there's a lot of things that we eat and expose ourselves to that are high in estrogen or estrogen-like compounds, and a lot of meat being one of them. Now, even if you're eating organic meat, there's still hormones because you're eating flesh of another animal, but especially the commercial meat is probably going to be higher than others. And if you grill the meat, you create those grill lines, which are called heterocyclic. They produce heterocyclic amines, and heterocyclic amines are known carcinogens. And if you like the smell of the grilled meat, that smells so good, doesn't it? I agree. It produces something called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are also carcinogen. So meat may not be the best choice when you're going to want to have a little romance in your life. Also, the meat is high in what's called saturated fats, and there's good saturated fats and there's bad saturated fats. Meat being one of the things that's a bad saturated fat, one of the reasons is because it clumps your red blood cells together. And when red blood cells clump together, you can't carry oxygen. Now, oxygen is important for brain function, but it's also important for other parts of the body to function. So I wouldn't recommend eating a lot of bad animal-based saturated fats if you want to have your energy going where it should be. I'm going to go to the calls. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. A lot to talk about. Dave, how can we make your day better today?
How are we doing, Dr. Joe?
Very, very happy,
Dave.
Yes.
I got two questions real quick. I went to the doctor, and they said I could have possible gout or plantar fasciitis.
Yes.
Was wondering for the gout, what over-the-counter drug I can possibly take to take care of this.
Tart cherry juice has been known to work really well for gout. So you can get some tart cherry juice. It's not sweet. You get it. It's usually in a concentrated form. Best thing to do is just mix it with water and drink it. If you want to, if it's a little too tart, you can add something called stevia, which is a natural sweetener, and stevia might help there. But the key with uric acid buildup is there's two things that produce uric acid: meat or animal proteins, and number two is fructose and high fructose corn syrup. And this kind of ties in nicely with the show tonight because when you eat a lot of fructose, it has to be broken down into glucose, and the waste product that's produced is called uric acid. So if you're eating a lot of sugar, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, sodas, high fructose corn syrup, you're producing a lot of uric acid. Now, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. And we need good circulation for romance, but we also need good circulation for blood flow to your whole body to flush the uric acid away from the joints. So you really got to cut out the meat and the sugar, Dave. That's breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, sodas. Now, as far as the plantar fasciitis goes, every case I've ever seen, I've been doing this for 32 years, I've seen a lot of plantar fasciitis cases, one or more of the bones in the feet move out of place. And when the bones move out of place, you put pressure on what's called a fascia, the thing that holds all the muscles together in your feet, and that could be why it hurts. And in every plantar fasciitis case I've ever had in my career, and all my doctors that work with me agree, we got to adjust the feet, put the bones back in place, take the pressure off the fascia, and then the body seems to respond pretty quickly.
Okay.
All right, so there's your answers there. Make sense?
Sounds good. And then, now, when should I schedule an appointment for you to do this, or
tomorrow?
Do you do this?
Tomorrow? The next day? Yeah, if you dial 844-44 Dr. Joe, that rings. If I'm not on the air, that rings through to my offices, and we can get you set up in one of our offices from there. Okay, Dave?
All right.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Let's keep the calls going. Thomas, how can we make your day better?
Hi, how you doing, Dr. Joe?
I am very happy.
Well, I have a little problem with, I've had it for a while, but it really flamed up lately. I've been painting my room for my son, and when I bend over, if my feet are 0 degrees and my head is 180 degrees, when I'm about 120 degrees bent over, my back doesn't hurt. My legs start to hurt.
Okay, sure.
Like I have a pinched nerve.
Yeah, well, you probably do. Now, the nerves in the low back, as they exit the spine, control the back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles. They also control your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So that's why if you're having back and leg pain, eventually you might start to see, like we said before, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, sexual problems. So, yeah, painting is a tough thing because you're using muscles you don't usually use. And that could easily twist the bones in the low back out of place. You want to get that put back in place pretty quickly, or else it'll probably just get worse as time goes on.
Yeah, that's what I was calling for, to see if you could help me out with that, and I guess you can, so I will set up an appointment.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's take a look at it. And what I tell people, too, when you come in, if I can help you, if I think I can help you, can't promise anything, I'll tell you. If I don't think I can help you, I'll tell you that, too. So it's probably a good idea to get it checked. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate the call. So, folks, if you have a question or if you want to get through to my offices when I'm not on the air, 844-44 Dr. Joe, D-R-J-O-E. My website, drjoeesposito.com. There we archive radio shows. We have my books available, my supplements. The supplement I take every day, I have it sitting in front of me here, is Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Two separate supplements. They're powders. I mix it with coconut milk, almond milk. You can mix it with water. I like it with the milks better. And, boy, I tell you what, it works great. And one of the things that happens is it has a lot of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, which can help balance out your hormones, which can help increase circulation. And it's interesting, just the other day, somebody said to me, because I had a bald spot in the back of my head, they said, it looks like your hair's starting to grow back in. And the person who cuts my hair said the same thing. And it took time for me to get my body balanced, but I think, the only thing I can think is happening, is the supplements that I'm taking is actually help balancing out my hormones so that things like dihydroxytestosterone drops. Dihydroxytestosterone is one of the reasons why your hair falls out. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not exactly sure why it's getting better, but it is, which is kind of cool. So, folks, got to go to break. Number here, 844-44 Dr. Joe. my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can order the Super Greens and the Essential Source there. We have other things, cold and flu tonics, immune boosters, colon cleansers. If you not within the listening area, we could always do a phone consultation if we need to, and you can call the office for that. Now, also like me on Facebook, and you can send me questions through Facebook as well. It's Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito, and you can, if you have a question you don't want to come on the air with, we can do that. Folks, got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hello, all. Glad you could be here. We're talking today about the Food Romance Connection, one of my fun shows that I like doing here, and how different foods can affect your love life and what you need to do to not do that. And certain foods, by the way, will enhance your love life, which is kind of cool, too. That's what people always say, what can I take for blah, 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 blah. Well, we're going to give you some of those answers, too, so I'm glad you're here. I do want to talk about wine, and then we're going to go back to the callers. A lot of callers today at 844-44-Dr. Joe, which also rings through to my office when I'm not here on the air. And got to talk about wine, because wine is the drink of love. Well, what happens is when you drink alcohol, it may lower your inhibitions. Keep it clean and simple here. But one of the problems that alcohol does, it reduces your body's production of testosterone. It might be relaxing, but it also decreases your ability to have sensual stimulus. So you may not feel things like you normally would if you didn't have the alcohol in your body. And it's also diuretic. Diuretic is what? It makes you pee. You ever notice how you drink one beer, you pee out 3? Where those other 2 beers come from? Well, your body is giving up its own vital fluid to flush the alcohol out of the system, because alcohol destroys brain cells, and your brain controls everything. Because when it comes to romance, it's really where you experience romance initially is in the brain. And so if the brain is turned on, the body is able to be turned on. If the brain isn't, well, it's not going to work there either. And so if we're destroying brain cells, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of brain cell damage, a lot of alcohol, a lot of brain cell damage. But now you're counteracting your testosterone. You're lowering your testosterone levels. You're decreasing your sensitivity. May not be the best thing for you. So a lot of people say, I like to have a drink at the end of work. Well, I get that. I get stressed out at work too. I understand what you're going through. But there's certain things you can do that work just as good or better than alcohol. There's one supplement, if I'm having a stressful day, I'll take. It's called Nevatone, and it's by a company called Standard Process, and I have it at my office. If you want to get it, you can call my office. We can get it for you. But Nevatone, when I'm stressed out, is just wonderful. I'll take a little bit of that, just calms everything down. And the other thing, when you're stressed out, your body produces cortisol. And if you're producing a lot of cortisol, well, what happens is in your adrenal glands, let me back up a little bit, your adrenal glands produce something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone becomes DHEA. DHEA will become cortisol if you're under stress, will become testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, your other sex hormones if you're not under stress. So when you're under stress, you're not producing the right amount of hormones because you're producing cortisol, which is another hormone, and that's counterproductive to what your goals are. So that's why it's really important that if you're under stress, you kind of try to manage that stress as quickly as possible, because testosterone isn't just for romance. It's also about building a heart muscle, building your liver, your spleen, your kidneys. All these organs need testosterone because it helps build muscle mass. And directly or indirectly, you're going to be affected by that because blood vessels are muscles. Your colon is a muscle. So it's really important that you take care of these things, because over time, too much cortisol, not enough hormones, you're going to crash. You have to. It's just the way the body works. So just be careful with the alcohol. And if you do drink, here's my rule. If you're going to have 1 glass of alcohol, I want you to have 3 glasses of water, because we need to flush that alcohol out of the system as quickly as possible so it doesn't get into the brain and it doesn't affect the adrenal glands. So it may not be your best choice, alcohol. I haven't had a full drink, I don't know, 30 years, 35 years. I'm fine. I function normally. I go to parties. Well, I have to have a drink because I go to parties. Well, I go to parties. I go to shows. I went to a show a couple of nights ago. And I have fun. I don't have to have the alcohol. So I want you to start thinking about that alcohol as being something that may be counterproductive, well, to many things, but especially your romantic life. Rusty, how can we make your day better?
Hey, I really don't know how to word this, but in the segment earlier, you were talking about how saturated fats are actually kind of negative to the body in certain situations and such. I just went to a dietitian not too long ago, and I found out that my body metabolizes certain foods significantly faster than anything else. If I were to eat carbohydrates or most plant matter stuffs, my body just burns right through it and I don't have any lasting energy. And my dietitian said that with my metabolism, I could have steak and a milkshake every meal for the rest of my life and I would be perfectly fine. So I'm trying to find this balance in my diet, like you're always talking about, to make sure that I can stay healthy. So you have any advice that I might be able to use?
Sure do. Sure. Now, yes, you can metabolize a steak and a milkshake. I have no question that what your dietitian is saying is true. However, what about the steroids, hormones, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified foods, saturated fats? It's not just, I'm just eating a steak. That steak is made of many, many different components. And so you might be able to burn through the calories, now called energy, by the way. We don't call them calories anymore. We call it energy, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but because it's not really energy, because it gets stored as fat, which is stored energy, but it's a little deceptive. But anyway, so what do you do for someone like you? Well, number one, your adrenal glands might be hyperactive. And if they are, we probably need to calm them down because eventually they're going to become hypoactive. Or your thyroid gland can be hyperactive, and you'll eventually crash. And that's one of the concerns I have if somebody has a high metabolism, a high thyroid, a high adrenal test, because what's going to happen is your body is racing, and then bam, literally in a very short period of time, you might wake up one morning and go, I just don't feel like getting out of bed. I'm so tired. I don't know why. Because you might crash. So you got to be careful not to do more stimulants for someone like you. So if you have to eat a lot of protein, where do animals get their protein from? Where do cows get protein or chicken? They get it from plants. So for someone like you, a concentrated plant-based protein would probably work really well. You can do beans, lentils, split peas, nuts, seeds. These are all excellent sources of protein without the negative side effects. So you can do that. As far as fat goes, coconut oil, avocado oil, almond oil, avocados. I would try to eat more higher protein and plant-based fats and see how you feel, and then maybe we can calm down your adrenals or your thyroid. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, Rusty, got to go to break. Thanks so much. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, drjoeesposito.com. That's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And great place to order supplements, books, send me questions. We want to be your doctors. We want to help you the best we can. Hey, got to go to a break. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, glad you could be here. We're talking today about the food romance connection, how food affects your love life. And it's a biggie because so many of us eat right or eat wrong. I mean, obviously we're eating something, and so many times patients come into our offices, and they'll come in for neck pain or back pain or shoulder pain. Again, I'm a chiropractor. And as we get talking, now we'll mention, well, doc, yeah, you're right. My romantic life isn't what it used to be, or gosh, I don't have no desire anymore. I have people come in and say it's been years since I've had any desire whatsoever. And many times it's either a physical or a chemical issue. Sometimes it's an emotional issue, and I'm fine with that. And we can, if we have time, we'll talk about that. I doubt we will, though. But if there's a physical or a chemical issue, it needs to be addressed. So a pinched nerve in the low back can be affecting the colon, sex organs, and bladder. You might have a pinched nerve going into your pituitary gland. You might be cutting off nerve and blood supply, affecting the pituitary gland, which is the master gland, which controls a lot of hormones. Could be a thyroid issue. Could be an adrenal issue. But if you're eating certain foods, they, as we said earlier, can really take the wind out of your sails. And meat and dairy products or animal protein certainly being one of them. And alcohol being another one as well, because alcohol lowers your testosterone levels. So you got to be careful with that. Now, if you're going to have a baked potato along with your romantic Valentine's Day meal or just any romantic meal whatsoever, it's complex carbohydrates, which can give you some energy, and complex carbohydrates are the precursor to something called serotonin. And serotonin helps you calm down and focus. So that might be a good thing. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, it could be an issue there. But let's go back to neurotransmitters. I want to talk about those for a few minutes. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that are made in your body, and they make your nervous system work, I should say. And let's go all the way downstream, or way upstream, I guess it would be. The way the body works is when you eat something, your stomach's job is to take proteins and break it into amino acids. Now, the amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin, which becomes melatonin. Tyrosine, the amino acid, becomes dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that gives you pleasure. So many times I'll have people come to our offices and they're having issues with not necessarily romantic pleasure, but all pleasure. I don't enjoy my kids. I don't enjoy my job. I don't enjoy my spouse. I don't enjoy my friends. I just don't enjoy life. And in 100% of the time when I have these cases come in, and again, it's been over 3 decades I've been doing this, I find an undiagnosed or certainly an untreated digestive issue. And many times the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm. When the stomach is up against the diaphragm, you're not digesting proteins properly into amino acids. So you might have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. So what we have to do, my doctors and I, is we take the stomach and we massage it. We pull it down away from the diaphragm. And when we do, the stomach eventually, sometimes one treatment, sometimes several, the stomach relaxes and you start digesting your proteins more efficiently to give your body the amino acids to produce the neurotransmitters so that you can experience pleasure, happiness, relaxation, sleep, even pain management. As an expert in pain management, I always check my patients' stomachs because glutamine becomes GABA, and GABA suppresses pain. It's a neurotransmitter in your brain. It helps suppress pain. So if you're having a digestive problem, you may not be producing the right amount of GABA, which means you might not be covering up your pain properly or managing your pain properly, I guess I should say. So be careful when it comes to neurotransmitters, and 95% of the serotonin, by the way, is not used in your brain. It's actually used in your digestive system. Pretty important stuff. So if you don't have enough serotonin and the digestive system wants 95% of it and the brain only gets 5%, brain's going to be shortchanged. And so a lot of the neurotransmitter issues that I find are directly linked to the digestive system not working properly. And so acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, these could all be signs that we need to get in there and fix that. Let's go back to the calls. We've got a lot of callers at 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. If you want to give us a call, you can. Beverly, how can we make your day better?
I called because I have plantar fasciitis, and I heard you talking to the man earlier, and you told him usually when you fix the bones in the bottom of the foot that goes away. Now, I've been to a couple of doctors, and one of them wanted to operate on my foot. The other one gave me some exercises to do. And it seems to have gone away temporarily, but now it seems to be trying to come back. So I just wonder exactly what you do in the way of straightening those bones or fusing them or whatever you do to fix them.
1/4 of all the bones in your body are in your feet. There's 206 bones in the body. 1/4 are in your feet. So any one of those bones can come out of place, and that can put a lot of stress, abnormal stress, onto the foot that can lead to plantar fasciitis. Now, sometimes you need surgery. I am not against any type of surgery if it's necessary. But I always say let's try to less dramatic approach, a more conservative approach first. And if that doesn't work, we can always move on to a more aggressive approach. Now, podiatrists are brilliant. I respect all my colleagues. But if they don't know how to manipulate feet, which they probably don't, you might want to try a chiropractor who knows how to work on feet and try that. And if it doesn't work, you can always have surgery. But once you have surgery,
reflexology?
No. Reflexology is pushing on trigger points. Chiropractic is actually moving the bones back into place.
Okay. Well, I do see a chiropractor, but I'm not sure if that's something he's aware of.
Well, ask him.
I would have to ask him.
Ask him.
But if you're in Stockbridge, you're not very far from where I live, so if I find that my chiropractor is not able to help me, perhaps I can call and make an appointment to come into your office.
We have all sorts of doctors, chiropractors, medical doctors, neurosurgeons, vascular surgeons, physical therapists. Send us their patients. We can work on them. And then if we need to, we can always send them back if we need to. So, okay?
Okay, great.
Thanks, Beverly. I appreciate the call. And, folks, I'm not on the air. 844-44-Dr. Joe does ring through to my office. And so you can always do that if you have questions, comments. The website, drjoeesposito.com, is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can always listen to radio shows archived there. You can order Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And those are supplements, I'm going to be honest with you, really bring back a lot of youthful ways, trying to keep it clean, because they give you the nutrients that your body needs. And something else you might want to consider adding to your diet is beet powder, B-E-E-T, or beets for that matter, because beet powder is high in something called nitrates. Now, when you take your beet powder, this is how I want you to take it. I want you to swish it around in your mouth and mix it with your saliva. I mix it with my Super Greens and my Essential Source sometimes if I need an extra burst of circulation. And you mix it with the Super Greens, the Essential Source, swish it around in your mouth, and then swallow it. But the saliva activates the nitrates, and the nitrates become nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. And when it comes to romance, it's what it's all about. Good circulation, good nerve supply, good circulation, and a good diet. So the beet powder might be something you want to consider adding along with the Dr. Joe Super Greens and Essential Source. I don't have beet powder on my website. Everything else is there, but you can go to any health food store. They'd have beet powder. Folks, got to go to a break. If you have a healthcare question, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website, again, drjoeesposito.com, which is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just for you. Hey, got to go to break. Do me a favor. Tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be Hey, folks, glad you're here today. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about the food-romance connection, how what you eat or what you don't eat can adversely or positively affect your love life. And, it's not just about the act of romance. It's about the ability to experience pleasure, to experience a relationship. And it may not be a romantic relationship. It might be your children, your mother, your father, your coworkers, your people you go to church with. And so if the body isn't healthy, you're not capable of experiencing a lot of these things that really make us human. And so we're talking today about not just the act of romance, but actually your ability to function at a more normal level. And so if you're going to eat animal products are really kind of rough on the body because the number one consumer of energy we have is the act of romance. And the second most consuming act we have is digestion. And animal products are the hardest of all the foods to digest. Alcohol, which is oftentimes considered part of a romantic dinner or a romantic event. You go out for drinks if you're going on a date. Alcohol can help lower your testosterone levels. And testosterone is your sex drive hormone. But it also builds muscles, not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart? How about your blood vessels? How about your colon? These are all muscles, and we need to keep those testosterone levels normal. And as we get older, men and women, our testosterone levels drop dramatically. So we want to keep those puppies working the best we can. Now, testosterone for women and men is produced, men is in the testicles. With women and men, it's in the adrenals and the adrenals, not the testicles in women. But the adrenal glands produce a lot of your sex hormones. And so if you're tired all the time, if you need artificial stimulants, you need coffee, you need cigarettes, chances are your adrenal glands are pooped out. And when your adrenal glands are pooped out, you're not producing the right amount of hormones. So it's really important you nourish those adrenal glands. Now, there are certain adrenal supplements you might want to take. If you don't eat animal products, I don't eat animal products. It's Withenia. Eleuthero is another one that I take on a regular basis. Withenia used to be called ashwagandha. That's another one I take. And it helps nourish the adrenals. Instead of giving you a high, what it does is it gives you the nutrients to make your adrenal glands do their own thing. Because if I were going to take an external source of, let's say, testosterone, that testosterone, no matter how bioidentical it is never going to be exactly the same as me. And so that's where the problem comes in. So we've got to be careful. I'd rather make my own testosterone than take it from an outside source because it could have some adverse effects. So bags under the eyes, fatigue all the time, even belly fat could be signs of an adrenal issue. And most people that I test come up with adrenal problems. We could do a saliva test to test your adrenal function, but a lot of people, just by doing an analysis with them, I say, we need to get you on some adrenal supplements. And when they get on there, it's not like taking an aspirin and it has an effect in an hour. Over days or weeks, you start to see the adrenals start to reboot themselves. And boy, I tell you what, when those adrenals start working again, you're going to be a happy puppy. Let's go back to the callers. Carrie, how can we make your day better?
Yes, sir. I was listening a few minutes ago and just the way you explained about the stomach being pressed up against the diaphragm there. And so I was diagnosed with a hiatal hernia about 17, 18 years ago. I'm 33 now, about to be 34. And the way you explained all the symptoms with that, and even now with the low testosterone, I was diagnosed with low T 7 or 8 years ago. And everything you are describing describes me and my life to a T.
Yep.
And it's just maybe a little advice on where I've looked into having the hernia surgery fixed. And probably 10, 15 years ago, and that time they didn't really want to do anything with it. But
right,
a little advice on where I should go now.
The surgery might work, it might not. I'd rather try manually to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. It looks like from where you're calling from, you're not far from one of our offices, and we can check the stomach and massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. Now, when you come in, we're also going to check the nerve supply to the organs, like the stomach, the testicles, the adrenal glands, because you may have pinched nerves going to the organs as well. And if we just fix one problem, it's like fixing one of the 6 bad spark plugs. It's good, but you want all 6 spark plugs working if you have a 6-cylinder in your car. So we want to check everything when you come in, and we'd be more than happy to do that for you. So if you call the number 844-44-Dr. of course, when I'm not on the air, and you can get through to my office, we can get you set up a time as soon as possible.
Okay. Now, where are your offices located?
We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right.
Yeah, and folks, if you're outside our listening, our immediate area here, I know this show is heard all around the world, we can always do a phone consultation with you, and just call 844-44-Dr. or you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and you can send us questions through the website. You can order Dr. Joe Super Greens, Essential Source, books, supplements. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours of radio shows. Now, we also have a YouTube channel. I recommend that you, if you're a visual learner, go to the YouTube channel, and you can watch some of the videos, which is kind of cool, because I record a lot of my videos, because some people are visual learners, so I want to be there for you. That's drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. And I got to go to a break. So if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. or my website is going to be drjoeesposito.com. And, whoops, I got a lot of stuff going on today. Boy, the phones are just lighting up like crazy here. So, all right, folks, got to go to a break. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Tell your friends about the show. Hello, boys and girls. Glad you could be here. We are talking today about the food romance connection. Trying to keep it clean here. And how certain foods can actually help your love life or not help your love life, cause problems. And let's talk some positive things here. What really works well is we got to increase circulation and nerve function. And one of the best things you can do for that is eat raw foods. Now, when I say raw, I'm not talking about meats. I'm talking about fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, asparagus. These are for ginger. Ginger is a anti-inflammatory, and things like ginkgo biloba are vasodilators. They open up your blood vessel. We talked earlier about beet powder. Has nitrates in it, which converts into nitric oxide that opens up your blood vessels. So it's really not hard to figure these things out. It's pretty easy when you understand the chemistry. I don't know if you've ever driven, I guess the right word, a stick shift. I remember the first time I drove a stick shift, my father took me out in my van. I had my first car ever was a van, a beautiful custom van with mag wheels and a mural on the side and a fur interior. Oh, it was great. Mirrors on the walls. And bought it for $400. My father maybe helped rebuild the engine together, and that thing was just awesome. It was so cool. But I digress. But the first time I came to a hill on this, it was a 3-speed shift on a column. It wasn't even on the bottom. It was on a column, which is a weird thing. First time I came to a hill, I remember thinking I could never drive this thing up a hill with a stick shift. And over time, once you learned how to drive it, it's no problem. I even became a truck driver for a while there. Same thing with health. Once you learn how to get your body healthy, it's not hard. It's actually easy. And that's why whenever we come on the air, the lines light up, because people have so many healthcare questions and don't know where to turn. And I want you to turn to me. And if I can help you, I'll tell you. If I can't, I'll tell you that too, which is kind of cool. But I always find you have to have 3 things: a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. That's the 3 things, the triad of health that you have to have. And everything else follows that. I'm not against drugs. I'm not against surgery. I'm not against mental counseling. I'm not against any of these. But without the nervous system, digestive system, and nutrition, you're not going to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to healthcare. Let's go back to the callers. Brent, how can we make your day better?
Hello, Dr. Joe. How are you?
I'm very happy.
Good, sir. Yeah, I had a question. I owned a sports nutrition company, which primarily dealt in sports nutrition and supplements and workout type things. And, over a few years, I got a little stressed for the business and whatnot, and I began to resort to, like you were saying, artificial stimulants. So I feel like my brain has gotten imbalanced, particularly with dopamine and things of that nature, because I've done I've done so many. I did some things I knew better that I shouldn't have done, and I have struggled a lot with motivation, depression, energy, and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if you have any advice for me that could help me come out of that naturally, and not depending on unnatural things. Because
Absolutely.
It's really a struggle, Dr. Joe.
Oh, no, I understand it, Brent. I see tons of patients like you because a lot of people have hit a little bump in the road in life, and they may turn to things they shouldn't have turned to. And now suddenly, how do we come off it? How do we get out of that mess?
Yes.
So a couple of things. We talked about raw food. So I want you to have something raw at every meal. So whether it's an avocado, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, a salad. I'm going to recommend you do Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. You can get those on my website. Relatively inexpensive for what you're getting. But one scoop of Essential Source, for example, is about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables with the enzymes still active. Prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin. The Super Greens alkalize your system. They give you iodine for brain function and thyroid function. So I take it every day, and I take it at least once a day. Sometimes I'll take it 2 or 3 times a day. And it tastes great, and it's really the core of my supplement protocol for everyone.
Yes,
then, do you have any acid reflux or burping, gas?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go, Brent. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and read an article I have on gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. And it lays out everything we've talked about, how the stomach breaks proteins into amino acids. Amino acids become neurotransmitters. So you're going to have to fix that digestive system if you want to achieve, obtain, and maintain the results that you want. So that's going to be a key player here.
Okay. That's awesome. That's really awesome because I had trouble, taking Zantac and that type of thing.
Sure.
Another quick question, Dr. Joe. My doctor prescribed me a heavy doses of benzodiazepines and muscle relaxers and opioid type things, which I'm off now completely.
Good.
Like it cost me my life, but I'm off of it. But I know I'm thinking that the GABA production in my brain is also off.
Sure.
Because I have trouble with anxiety and social anxiety, that type of thing.
Yep.
And it's just been a battle.
Fix the digestive system, get the raw materials into the body, and then over time, the body should start making its own neurotransmitters again, and hopefully we'll get you back on track. We usually do.
Okay. Yes,
Brent?
sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And, folks, if you want to get the Super Greens and the Essential Source, which I think you should, by the way, that's a real simple, easy first step to get well. They're on the website, drjoeesposito.com. They're also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, it might be a little easier for you. But they're on Amazon, too, and we'll ship them right out to you. It's no problem. Or pick them up at our offices. Just save the shipping costs. Let's go back to the callers. Adam, how can we make your day better? Hello, Adam.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How can we help you today?
I'm calling about my son. He's having several symptoms going on with him, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. I've talked to several different doctors, and they transferred me to another doctor, and then they said, well, he needs to see another doctor, and I'm not really getting any answers.
Sure. Okay.
And mainly they're saying that he needs to have an MRI done.
Okay, real quick. We're running out of time, Adam. What's your question?
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with him. He's having, dizzy spells and nausea and...
Sure. Okay.
And he's not concentrating at work, at school. He gets sick at school.
First place I would look is the digestive system, because the same nerve that controls his stomach controls his heart and also controls balance, which is called the vagus nerve. That's why if you get seasick, you throw up. Dizziness can cause the nausea. So I would check that. I would also check his inner ear to make sure there's not an infection in the inner ear. And I would also check, most likely, it's a pinched nerve in the upper part of the neck, because when the atlas, or the top bone, comes out of place, that can irritate the vagus nerve, which causes the nausea and the dizziness. Then the brain is not talking to the body properly, and so you have this imbalance, and so they can't focus. But I would check the stomach and then the nerves in the neck to see if they're being pinched. And chances are it's one of those two things. If it's not, we can always go out and get an MRI done. That's not a problem. But I've seen tons of cases like this. It's probably that's what it is.
Okay. Well, like I say, we're having an MRI done Thursday.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And like I say, we just went to doctor, and they said they really can't find anything wrong until they see the MRI.
If you want to come see us, make an appointment, bring the MRI results. I have a real strong feeling you're not going to find anything on the MRI, but if you do, well, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Either way, we'll know what direction to go in.
Okay.
Great, Adam. Look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much. I appreciate the call. If you have a question, folks, 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're talking today about the food romance connection. And there are certain things that can really affect your romance. We talked about digestion. We talked about pinched nerves going into organs. We're talking a lot about the stomach today, producing neurotransmitters like dopamine, which gives you pleasure. And so you really have to start breaking it down and saying, okay, why am I not as frisky as I should be? It's a natural function. Why am I not feeling it? Check the nervous system, check the digestive system, and then check your diet. I would start absolutely positive with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Folks, got to go to break, 844-44-Dr. Joe. That rings through to my office if I'm not on the air. Be right back. Not on the air. Thanks for being here, folks. Glad you could spend a little time with me. We're talking today about the food romance connection and how what you eat has a direct impact on your romantic life, for good or for bad. And we talked a lot about the bad things, the meats, the dairy products, the alcohol, the dehydration. So I want to cover a couple of good things you can do. And if you're on hold, folks, keep hanging on. I'm going to get to your problems, I promise. We talked about ginger and ginkgo biloba briefly. Ginger is an anti-inflammatory. And a lot of times what happens in the body is you have inflammation. In fact, every disease known to man has an inflammatory component. So if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, we need to reduce that inflammation. And we do that by cutting back or cutting out what I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. 7 deadly sins of nutrition are alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And collectively, you all thought, but that's my whole diet. If I can't eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, there's really no reason for me to continue living. I know. I was you once. Right? Olivia Newton-John had a line in the song, right? I was like you. And so I was like you, and I got it, and that was my whole diet too. But when you start realizing that if you put good gas in your car runs better, you got to put good fuel in your body to make your body run better. That's why I created Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They pretty much rock when it comes to nutrients, and I tell people try it for a month. I'd say try it longer. There's a discount if you buy it for more, but do it for a month. I think you'll be really happy, but you got to do it. At least once a day, if not more. Scoop of each. I take coconut milk, almond milk, shake it up. It's sitting right here in front of me in the studio. Really helps your brain function. It has chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is basically one molecule away from red blood cells, from hemoglobin. And so that can help carry oxygen through the body. It's a complete multivitamin. It alkalizes the system. Most of us have a very acid diet, meat, sugars, dairies, coffees, sodas. And when you alkalize the system, the body really responds in a positive manner in most cases. And then we do got to check the nervous system because the nervous system controls everything. So if you have a pinched nerve going to your arm, you may have arm pain. Pinched nerve to your head, headaches, numbness, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. But those nerves also control organs. So if you have a pinched nerve going to an organ, today we're talking about the love life, your love life, trying to keep it clean here. Pinched nerves to those organs could have an adverse effect on how they function. In fact, it will have an adverse effect on the way they function. And many, many patients over the years, been doing this for over 3 decades, come in and say, Doc, everything's great, man. Everything's working properly. And I've joked, but many times I've gotten either flowers or fruit baskets, not from the patient, but from their significant other. And I said, Dr. Joe, thank you for getting my spouse, my loved one, back to health. It really is a great job. I can't imagine not ever doing this again. But we'll be doing it forever, we hope. Let's go back to the callers here. James, how can we make your day better?
Dr. Joe, earlier when you were talking about the beet powder or juice or something,
yes,
I eat a lot of beets,
good,
and I'll eat them cooked and raw. And I'm wondering, is one way or the other more potent?
Well, the raw food, and I'll give you the pros and cons of each. The raw food, the enzymes are still alive. So I'm a big fan of raw food, and you should eat something raw at every meal. And the enzymes are still alive. The problem is that the beets or all vegetables have a cell called cellulose is what the cells are made out of. And you need an enzyme called cellulase to break down the cellulose. But we as humans don't produce cellulase. So there's only 2 ways we can really get at the stuff that's inside the cellulose. Number 1 is to chew it really good or pulverize it, like put it in a food processor, whip it up, so we can mechanically burst open the cells, which is ideal. Or secondly, if you heat it, the water inside the cells expands and it bursts open the cells.
Okay, so the cooking is going to wind up being better.
Cooking is better, but you do destroy the enzymes.
Oh.
Follow? So that's why I say beet powder, because what they usually do with beet powder, and like I do with my Super Greens and Essential Source, we juice the ingredients and then take the water out at a very low temperature so the enzymes stay active. So that's why I'm a big fan of the beet powder. But cooked or raw, both great.
If I chopped them and threw them in the blender and then just took the whole thing, pulp and juice and all.
That's the best. Absolutely the best.
That would be the best way to go.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
All
right, thanks
so much. I appreciate it. Let's go. Keep the calls coming here. Chris, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe, I'm calling because I have a son that's he's almost 2 years old now. He's got eczema on different parts of his body, on his arms, his back, and his head, and probably 15 different areas ranging from maybe the size of like a $50 to smaller than a dime.
Sure.
But everything that I can find online, and even the doctors basically just say to put hydrocortisone cream on it and kind of hope it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
We've used some of that to try to alleviate, and on his head actually it's caused some of the spots on his head will actually kind of thin the hair that he's got there.
Yep.
So it's not ideal. But yeah, I'm calling to see if you have any other ideas of what we can try to alleviate that. We've been dealing with it for over a year now.
Yeah. Okay. The two foods you want to take them off right away are wheat and dairy products.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah, because dairy products is the number one food allergen, and wheat is number two. And I've had countless patients taking them off the wheat, the eczema just goes away. And they're like, wow, I've had this for 10, 20, 30 years. Why didn't anybody ever tell me this? I just had to stop eating wheat. The answer was yes. So get him off all his wheat, all his dairy products, and let's see how it helps. Number two,
and how long would,
what?
I'm sorry.
A couple of weeks.
How long do you think it would take to see that? Okay.
Probably you'll see a lot of results in 2 or 3 weeks, probably even sooner than that. Also, I want you to get some extra virgin coconut oil. And extra virgin coconut oil, rub it on the skin. Okay, it's nice. Give him a little massage. Well, he'll love that. And the coconut oil has things like lauric acid in it. Lauric acid can help your immune system, but also has medium-chain fatty acids, which will help the immune system as well. So wheat, dairy, and coconut oil. Let's try that.
Okay, great. Well, I certainly appreciate it. Hey, I want to give a shout-out to your cold and flu tonic as well. I was sick for almost a month with congestion and stuff in my chest and everything. I used your tonic for about I actually made my own, but it took about 2 days, and I was already starting to clear up. Within a week, it was completely gone. So thanks for that as well.
You're welcome, Chris. Thanks for the shout-out. I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah, folks, that's another product we have. It's called Dr. Joe's Cold and Flu Tonic, and it's ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic. And, boy, it tastes like it sounds. But when you have a cold or a flu, you start taking that stuff, and it's amazing. And that's on my website, too, drjoeesposito.com, where you can get the Super Greens, the essential source. You can book appointments to come see us, listen to radio shows, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. We're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for you. Folks, I got to go to break, but that doesn't mean we're done. So don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Tell your friends about the show. Hey, folks, glad you could be here. We're talking today about the food-romance connection, how what you eat has a direct impact on your romantic life. And one thing I got to cover, I'm amazed I forgot this, is there are certain things that in your environment that could be adversely affecting your romance, and they're called endocrine disruptors or estrogen-like compounds. And one of the things, which is ironic, that you might be doing when it comes to romance is you might light a scented candle. You might have air fresheners or potpourri around. These chemicals many times have estrogen-like compounds in them that can disrupt your hormones and throw off the estrogen-testosterone balance and essentially lower your testosterone levels. So if you're trying to get romantic and have these fancy candles, there's 2 rules on candles. Number 1, they need to be either beeswax or soy wax. Those are okay. And if they are scented, I want to make sure that they're scented with natural essential oils and not an artificial fragrance. So when you go into these stores that smells like perfume, by the way, too, can have these chemicals in it, too. So do not wear perfume if you plan on a romantic evening. In fact, don't wear perfume ever. That's a rule I have. Never wear perfume. It stinks. No one likes it, and I don't know why people wear it. There's my editorial. But perfumes, air fresheners, carpet cleaners, new car smell, scented candles, these have chemicals in it that can adversely affect your testosterone levels. So please get them out of the bedroom, and also for your health, because too much estrogen can cause abnormal cell growth, which is also known as, say it with me, cancer. There you go. Folks, let's go back to the callers. Shirley, tell me what's going on in your world.
Hi, Dr. Joe. Thanks for having me and taking my call.
You're welcome.
I, for about 3 years ago, just basically felt like just crap. I was fatigued. I was bloated. I wasn't overweight. I was just really bloated, swollen, joint pain. I started seeing a nutritionist and a naturalist. Changed my diet, organic, non-GMO.
Good.
everything I could find. Then I started taking herbs from the naturalist. She found out that I had lots of gastrointestinal problems. Colon was messed up. Liver was messed up. Pretty much everything.
Sure.
Breaking down my food was messed up. We got that in check, and then it went to my bladder and my kidneys were messed up, so we had to switch that. I was feeling great for like 2 or 3 months, so we had to switch it because my kidneys were messing up.
Right.
And now my kidneys are doing fine now, but again, I'm fatigued. I'm bloated again. Nothing I eat makes me feel good. I'm not hungry, but I know I have to eat. I eat something, even if it's the all-organic, non-GMO I'm getting. I'm still bloated.
Right.
My fingers are swollen. My hands and my joints are swollen. I have joint pain. I don't know what to do because I'm jumping from back and forth to different organs that are messing up, and I can't get them all right.
Let me explain it to you, Lucy, or Shirley. Let me explain it to you, Shirley. I don't know if you're old enough to get it. So if you're old enough to get the reference. I do that with Ahmad sometimes. I use references, and Ahmad doesn't always get them. Like I said earlier to him, I said, make it so, number one. Lost it. He had no idea. Yes, okay. So we're old enough, Ahmad. You're not old enough. We are old enough to get these references.
I'm left out.
You are left out. Yes. All right, Lucy. All right, Shirley. What you're doing is you're trying to treat the problem chemically, and most likely you have a physical component that's never been addressed. The analogy is you keep changing the oil in the car, but you never tune up the engine. And so it's good to change the oil. It's good to put good gas in it, but you got to tune up the engine. And so you're not digesting your food properly. The heartburn, the acid reflux, that's usually the stomach pushed up against the diaphragm. You need to pull it back down away from the diaphragm. That should help a lot of digestive issues. Once the digestive issues start to clear up, then you're eating the good foods. The body's able to assimilate those good nutrients you're putting in there and then utilize it. I also would test the spine because pinched nerves in the spine, nerves control organs. So you have a pinched nerve going to an organ, the organ isn't going to work, and you've got a ton of organs not working.
Yes, I understand that. I've been to I go to a chiropractor regularly, but I was a very large baby, and I was born with my hips out of joint.
Ah, there you go.
And I have chronic lower back problems and hip problems. I'm 6'3". I don't wear heels because my hips and my lower back.
Sure.
And so I understand the spine importance.
Right.
It's just they're always out.
Check
my
the digestive.
My hips are always.
All right, here's some things you might want to consider. Check your digestive system. Ask your doctor if they know how to adjust the stomach. And if they do, great. If they don't, they could always call me or go to my on my website. I have an article on GERD, but I could always teach them, hopefully. I teach all my doctors when they come to work for me. And second,
I actually would like to come and make an appointment to see you.
Okay, why don't we do that? Just go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or 844-44-Dr. We're not on the air. And we can go ahead, get you set up. We'll check everything. We'll check your feet, your ankles, and we'll see what we can do to get this thing taken care of.
That would be outstanding because I'm too young to feel so old.
Oh, I agree. Very well said. I agree with you 100%, Shirley. Good. All right, we look forward to seeing you real soon.
Yes, thank you so much. God bless.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, Jim. What's your question today?
How you doing there?
I am just so happy. I just need to be on the air all day, every day. I'm so happy when I'm here. So.
You should be. You should be there all day long, matter of fact, because there's a bunch of people that got questions for you.
Oh, yeah.
I got to ask you real quick. You mentioned the supplements for the adrenal glands a little bit ago. Could you run that by me again, please?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it depends. If you're a meat eater, there's something called Drenamin, which is actually made of glandulars. Glandulars are ground up adrenal glands, and it works very well. I don't eat animal products, so I do something called Eleuthero, which used to be called Siberian ginseng. I don't know why these names change. Also, Withenia, which used to be called ashwagandha. Again, I don't know why it changed. But I take Eleuthero and Withenia every single day because we're all under stress. We're all got things going on in our lives. And I find when I nourish my adrenal glands, it keeps me young, keeps me looking young, but it also helps my energy levels.
Oh, okay. Now, can I get that stuff on your website?
If you go to the website, you can actually call the office and we can go ahead and order it for you because a lot of the Super Greens, the Essential Source, the Cold and Flu Tonic, those are all my products.
Okay.
But the other ones, we use a company called Standard Process, and they don't sell to the public. They only sell to doctors. So if you want them, you can call the office. You can actually ask for Kayla, and she would go ahead and put that together for you. We're having a whole adrenal protocol we can put you on.
Okay. Got to ask you real quick. You mentioned the kinds of salts before that were good to have.
Yes.
And what do you think about something called Himalayan pink salt?
Excellent. Good choice.
Okay. All right. And thank you very much. Oh, I wanted to tell you real quick. I'm one of them old codgers who know what a stick shift car is.
You remember?
Yeah, they were called 3 on the tree, and you better get the first and second gear right, or else you're in trouble.
You got that right. Well, good to know another fellow old codger. I appreciate the call.
That's right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. See, some of us old folks remember 3 on the tree. Yep, 3 on a column. So, folks, we talked a lot about the food hormone connections. You want to stay away from the 7 deadly sins. Get on things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Beet powder helps open up the blood vessels. But really the key, many times, as we said with Shirley, is you got to check the nerve supply to the organs. Because you have a pinched nerve to an organ, you might have neck pain or back pain, but 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. And that's why I want to be there for you. So if you have any questions, you always call us off the air, 844-44-Dr. Joe, or my website, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to order supplements, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.